Just this, please.
Gotcha.
Whoa. Feel free? I'd love to feel free.
Feel Free gave me not just energy, but a lot more clarity.
Heightened sense of awareness.
No side effects.
Not jittery. I felt free. I felt good energy level, better quality of life. You feel good. Never noticed any adverse effects.
It quite literally made me question my sanity.
Wait, what?
Tonight, social media warnings about this little blue bottle.
They are extremely addictive.
The most up drink you can buy at a gas station, and that's called Feel Free.
I was addicted to the little blue bottles, Feel Free by Tonics.
Okay, so why is this legal?
Anything that makes you feel good can be habit forming. You can OD on water.
In the late 80s, an outbreak linked to a natural sleep remedy called L-tryptophan caused dozens of deaths, thousands of cases of severe illness, and led to its recall by the FDA and increased scrutiny on the industry at large. This led nervous industry executives to try to codify a lack of supplement regulation.
Free! Hey, guys, it's only vitamins.
Make the FDA stop. Call the U.S. Senate and tell them that you want to take your vitamins in peace.
Which led them to a senator from
the state of Utah.
By that point, the supplements industry in Utah was already booming. The sector is now the third largest in the entire state, and the industry has formed a symbiotic relationship with Utah politicians, donating to their two senators more than any other legislators over the past quarter century. Orrin Hatch, in particular, was probably the industry's best friend in Washington. When the industry needed an ally to pass pro-supplements legislation in the wake of the outbreak, they turned to Hatch alongside Democratic Senator Tom Harkin to pass DSHEA, which really opened the floodgates for the industry. The bill effectively prevented the FDA from blocking potentially unsafe dietary supplements until after they've hit the market and started harming people. Since then, the industry has exploded from about $4 billion to $70 billion today, with about 70% of Americans reporting to take supplements. Before the passage of the bill, there were about 4,000 supplements on the market. Today, that number is closer to 100,000, with one of those 100,000 being this.
Has it reached yet?
I don't know. I kind of like it.
Really?
I like the taste, yeah.
That tastes terrible. I'll give you my philosophy on the way it tastes. It's not terrible, but it's also not great. Too often, products get watered down because we're so worried about how it tastes. You're getting something that is really clean, filled with the stuff that is supposed to be in there, and not a bunch of stuff that doesn't need to be in there.
It tastes like Pepto-Bismol.
Oh, hell. It's grainy.
It is chunky.
The freedom that I felt from Feel Free to just let go was like nothing I'd ever experienced.
From their early marketing, the main ingredient in Feel Free is a relatively mild psychoactive substance called kava.
Kava is the link between the world of humans and the world of spirits.
And as their marketing will tell you, kava has been used for thousands of years, which is true, but so have lots of things. What their marketing wouldn't tell you is that the main ingredient in Feel Free isn't actually kava, it's kratom, a much stronger psychoactive ingredient. Taking a look at the first available archive of their website, it's hard to even find a single mention of the word kratom, only that the drink contained kava and other ancient plants, which is true but really burying the lead. They were really trying to market it as a healthy alternative to alcohol, which is already how some people see kratom. Tons of people, especially in the US where spending on healthcare is nearly triple the OECD average, use kratom as a way to wean off of harder drugs or to deal with chronic pain, even if it's not recommended by healthcare professionals. Kratom's reported side effects include seizures, high blood pressure, vomiting, liver damage, addiction, and hallucination. So can Feel Free really be considered a responsible way to wean off of harder drugs when it doesn't even disclose that it contains kratom in the first place? Well, founder J.W. Ross thought so.
Anything that makes you feel good can be habit forming. You can OD on water.
And if you think that name already sounds like a 19th century snake oil salesman for someone selling a habit-forming herbal tonic, you might be surprised to learn that that's not actually his birth name. Ross was born as Jerry Cash, another fake-sounding name. Cash was an oil and gas mogul before being convicted for failing to disclose converting $10 million in corporate funds into personal Jerry Cash, which he blames on his addiction to alcohol. While serving time in prison, he claims that he foiled a plot to assassinate a federal judge, which he says got him released early into witness protection. In 2020, he founded Botanic Tonics, the maker of Feel Free. It was through this health and wellness branding that Feel Free gained a foothold in the market. And like most things that are incredibly and super addicting, a foothold is all you really need.
You've heard me talking about this stuff. It's called Feel
free.
A lady in Austin called me and she said, "You brought my husband back."
It was promoted heavily on wellness podcasts. It was briefly available at Erewhon, and it partnered with several universities to be the official tonic of their athletic program, including my alma mater, with the company even handing out free samples to runners during the school's 10K. Since then, institutional support has fallen away, but sales keep rising. Nowadays, the company is huge. Fueled by users who say that they spend up to $40,000 a year on the product, the company now has about 150 employees and claims $250 million in annual sales. But if the 1994 Supplements Act was only supposed to stop pre-market enforcement, why hasn't anything been done about this since? A big reason behind this seems to be that the FDA is not that concerned about natural leaf kratom, only the synthetic counterpart 7-OH.
We're not targeting the kratom leaf or ground up kratom. We are targeting the concentrated synthetic that is an opioid.
This is a distinction that's been championed both by Botanic Tonics as well as Secretary of Homeland Security Mark-Wayne Mullen, a man with 2 first names and one $1 million investment in Botanic Tonics. Mullen even went so far as to push for changes on the FDA's website, including eliminating language about kratom's risk of seizures and death. It does appear to be true that 7-OH is much more potent than natural leaf kratom, but you could say the same thing about beer and vodka, and beer can still be abused. Still, despite some members of government having an active stake in maintaining the availability of feel-free, they haven't been able to stop everything. Kratom has been banned in several states, and although I'm pretty anti-prohibition in general, if the two options are either ban it or let it market itself as a wellness product, banning it is probably the better option. Botanic Tonics has also already settled a $9 million lawsuit claiming that it targeted recovering alcoholics and failed to warn about the dangers of consuming kratom. Because again, it didn't include any warnings about any dangers of any kind. And it appeared to only mention the word kratom once deep in the frequently asked questions. Now, the packaging does include tepid warnings about the product's habit-forming tendencies, but reassures users that when consumed as directed, hasn't been shown to cause any physical harm. Which is a bit like if cigarettes said if you smoke 1 cigarette throughout your entire life, it has not been shown to cause physical harm. That's not really what we are concerned about. We're concerned when people consume more than directed, which they seem almost pathologically destined to after starting.
3 years ago, I unknowingly spiraled into a severe addiction to Feel Free.
This seems to be mirroring exactly what the cigarette industry went through decades ago, and several of Botanic Tonics executives, including their chief sales officer and 2 heads of sales, are former tobacco industry executives. So they probably felt right at home when the DOJ appeared to begin to crack down on the supplement in 2023. The case then went dormant for 2 years until a judge allowed it to move forward. However, just 12 days later, the DOJ filed to dismiss their own case, saying that it wasn't a prudent use of their resources. In a completely unrelated coincidence, Ross's company donated $500,000 to RFK Jr.'s Maha PAC, the largest donation it received over the past year. As of mid-2026, the DEA looks set to temporarily ban 7-OH, a move that was heavily lobbied by companies it wouldn't affect, like Botanic Tonics. After donating $500,000 to the RNC, Ross himself even secured a meeting with JD Vance in February where he reportedly pushed for the change. This seems to solidify natural leaf kratom as the chosen gas station heroin of choice on the market. Despite that, another lawsuit has recently been filed against Botanic Tonics after the death of a 32-year-old man in Florida. The lawsuit alleges that the man voluntarily admitted himself to a detox facility, but then left after the facility was unable to manage his kratom addiction. Even with this small blip, for now, when it comes to the legality of highly habit-forming kratom drinks semi-disguised as health products, the government's saying, feel free.
I like to know when you...
Has it reached yet?
I don't know. Don't look at me like that.
No, I've had a lot. That is thick.